Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Huawei Agile Campus and Wi-Fi 6 webinar. We have here, it's going to be a brief, short webinar where we have two speakers. First, we'll talk about, first, Subbu will take you forward with the webinar, and then we have Hassan talking about Wi-Fi 6. Subbu will go through switches, so I'm just going to ask him to join, to start here and start the presentation.
Hi everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, Subbu, you're audible.
Yes, Subbu, we can hear.
Yes, and if anybody has any questions, they can leave it in the question and answer box, and we can answer that at the end of the session.
So, hi everybody. My name is Subramaniam. I take care of the pre-sales activities here in Redington for the Huawei IP portfolio. So, the first session we will talk about the Huawei switching portfolio. The second session we will talk about the Huawei Wi-Fi 6 portfolio, which will be taken by my colleague Mr. Hassan. So, I'll briefly introduce you to the Huawei switching product portfolio, what all products we have currently. So, because Huawei, as you know, that we were having some earlier series of switches which are now end of life. So, they have introduced new series of switches which are based on Huawei chipsets with a better much better capabilities than the previous series. So yeah, so let us start with the product portfolio. So as you can see, these are the new series of switches. These are the old series of switches which says 5720 and 6720, 12700, 7700s. So these 5720s, 6720s are all end of life now. Maybe by June 30th of June, it will be end of life. And in the Soho segment, which is 1720 series, has been replaced with 1730 series. So let's go one by one on the switching. Yeah, so these are the new series of switches. So instead of 5720, it has been replaced by the 5735, 5731, 5732, and 6720s have been replaced with 6730s. And the chassis based modular switches which was 12700, which has been replaced with 12700E, and 7700 remains the same. So there will be new version of 7700 also coming shortly based on the Huawei chipset, which is awaited. Now here if you see, there there are some series, L series, S series, H series, all this. So the basic difference between the L series, H series and S series is the one is the routing capabilities, other one is the number of MAC addresses it can handle, the routing protocols it can handle. So L series is the entry level switch, you can say, which is a layer 2 plus switch, which has basic layer 3 protocols like OSPF, RIP version 2, and that's it, and static routes as well. The S series is also the same capabilities, but the only difference is the S series have dual power supply capability. L series does not have dual power supply capability. S series has a dual power supply capability. The H series is the top end switches, which you can say as a core switch, or yeah. So these have the full routing L3 routing capabilities. All the L3 routing protocols are supported by the H series. The 5731 S series and the 5732 H series. 5731, the only advantage we have it has a modular slot. Like we have a 24 port fixed Ethernet ports, four 10 gig Ethernet, four 10 gig SFP fixed ports, and on top of that there is a slot which can support 2 port 40 gig, 8 port 10 gig SFP, or 8 port 10 gig on copper. So this is the 5731, which is a fixed switch but with a slot. And 5732H series is the pure fiber switch, 24 port fiber and the 48 port fiber. So the 5732H series has like 24 port has 24 10 gig fiber ports and 600 gig fiber ports. 24 port, this 5732H24 has 24 fixed 10 gig fiber ports and 600 gig fiber ports or 40 gig fiber ports. 6730H series and A series, they are the 10 gig switch. These are also 10, 5732, 6730 is a 10 gig switch, 5732 is a 1 gig switch. I'm sorry for the misinterpretation. 5732 is a 1 gig switch. 6730 is a 10 gig switch. And the 12700s are the modular switches. 7700 is also a modular switch. Because I was getting some messages that some people are not able to hear. It's okay, right? Everybody able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thanks a lot. So first we will go with the chassis based switch or the modular switch, the 12700E, which has got four models. This is the four slot chassis, and 8 slot chassis, and a 10 slot chassis. The 10 slot chassis is and the 12. This is not yet available, but it is going to come soon. So let us go one by one. The 12700 four slot chassis. So when I say 4 slot chassis means it has 4 line cards. You can go with 4 line cards. As 8 means 8 line cards. 12 means 12 line cards. So this is how the switch looks. We have the MPU at the top, SFU in the middle, and the line cards below that, and the power supply modules below that. And this can have a per slot bandwidth of 4.8 Tbps, and which is built on the Huawei based solar chipset S5. 2 modules, 2 fan modules, 2 control management modules, 4 power modules, and 4 line cards. As I said, which is a 12700E4 means dash 4 means 4 line card slots. And this is the 8 slot chassis, which has 8 line cards. So if you see the basic look is the same, only the number of line cards has increased from 4 to 8. The MPU remains at the top, the switching fabric remains in the middle, the power module remains at the bottom. This is the 12 slot chassis, which has got 12 line cards. All are built on Huawei based solar chipset S5. So these are the power modules for the 12700. We have 3000 watt AC power module and a 2200 watt DC power module. And yeah, so if you see here, a total of 4 supporting N+1, M+N, N+1, M+N. So what does this really means is that we can it will operate on an active standby mode. Power module will act on an active standby mode. That is, if one power supply fails, the other power supply will automatically be running. And these are the fan modules. So for a 4 slot chassis, we have 4 fan slots. For an 8 slot chassis, we have 8 fan slots. 12 slot chassis, we have 12 fan slots. So basically, the design of the fan module is such that the air flows from front and right. So it is a it goes from it. The air enters from the right and leaves from the rear, meaning that all the modules, all the line cards, they get a proper cooling. So if you see the other in the competition, they all have front to rear airflow, not from right to rear. So when it is front to rear, we have the line cards and everything in between. So the airflow is not proper. But whereas in Huawei, we have from right to rear. So the airflow is very, very proper, and all the line cards get proper cooling. Which also, I mean, by doing this, you also reduce the heat dissipation from the switches, which translates into your cooling requirements. So the AC requirements, the cooling requirements are lower in Huawei than the other competition. So these are basic some of the port densities on the 12700 E4, E8 and E12. On the E4, there are 96 ports maximum of 9600 gig, 9640 gig, 192 10 gig and 192 1 gig. So 1G and 10G, the port that supports 10G can support 1 gig also. The port that is supporting 100 gig can support 40 gig also. So the only the SFP will change in case of the 100 gig and 40 gig. The port remains the same. Same goes for the 10 gig and the 1 gig. So these are some of the port densities. In 12700 E4, we have 96 ports of 100 gig, E8 192 ports of 100 gig, and E12 we have 288 ports of 100/40 gig. And same goes for the 10 gig and the 1 gig ports. Now this is the MPU. It is the management module. So this has got Ethernet management port as well as the console port, USB port. So you can copy the files or the firmware you can copy from the management module for a later use or for taking the backups. And these are the fiber modules, switching fabric modules. So if you see, there are two models in this. One is SFUE and SFUH/M. So the basic difference is, if you see here, the SFUE has 3.2 terabytes per slot, whereas the SFUH has 4.8 terabytes per slot. Rest, the memories are double in the SFUH, which is 2 gig, and whereas in the SFUE, it is 1 gig. Both are based on Solar chipset from Huawei. The SFUH has one extended subcard, which you can use it for other purpose. Like you can have a 40 gig or a 100 gig port on the SFUH, whereas in the SFUE, we cannot have an extended subcard. And this is the control module. So the control module, basically it controls the fan module and the power module. Like how many cards are there, based on that, how much power supply to give to each card. And if there is a failure of one fan module, it should switch over to the other fan module on an active standby mode. So all this is controlled by the CMU. So we can have either a single CMU or a dual CMU in each of the chassis based switches for the redundancy purpose. And these are some line cards, like a 48 port line card, 48 port fiber line card, 48 port copper line card. This is a 10G card, 10G electrical card, 10G copper card. This is a 100 gig card, 24 port 100 gig card, and a 6 port 100 gig card. So basically, now if you see, you may have a question like, how can a switch support 24 into 100 gig in a one line slot, which is like 24 into 100 gig is like 2.4 terabytes per slot. So this is possible because the per slot capacity of the Huawei switches is 3.2 terabyte per slot. So we can support 24 ports of 100 gig on one line card, on one line slot. So hence this is a non-blocking architecture. If you see the other vendors in the competition, they are also having 2400 gig cards, 24 port 100 gig cards, but the slot capacity is much lower than 3.2 terabyte. For example, if I take the example of a Cisco 9500, the per slot capacity is 2.4 terabytes, whereas here we have 3.8 terabytes. So we have a non-blocking architecture. Even if we want to put a 100 gig card, 24 port of 100 gig is required, we can do that on a non-blocking architecture. So yeah, these were the 12700 series was the earlier series. 12700E Cloud Engine is the newer series. So if you see here, the slot bandwidth is 4.8 terabytes on a SFU-H. If we are using SFU-H, we have 4.8 terabytes. If you are using SFUE, we have 3.2 terabytes per slot. So 12700 was having 1.28 terabytes, whereas we are having the newer series 12700E is having 4.8 terabytes. So the older series was able to support only 8 into 100 gig card, whereas the new series is supporting 24 into 100 gig card. So here if you see, the older series had 4, 8 and 12 slot capacities, whereas in the new series we are having only 4, 8 and 12. The 10 slot capacity is coming up, it will be soon available. So this is the second series of the chassis based switch, which is the S7700. This is still in the older version. The newer version of the S7700 is expected soon. We have three varieties in this. One is the 7703, 7706 and 7712. Both the 7703 and the 7706 supports PoE line cards. Of course, we have to change the power modules accordingly. We cannot use the non-PoE power module when we are using a PoE line cards. So these are the line cards here. One is the MCUD, which is the management module. Then switching fabric, SRUH. Then we have the electrical line cards and the optical line cards. 100G optical line card, 10G optical line card, 10G electrical card, GE electrical card and GE optical card. So basically, if you see here, you may find something written as X5E, X5S or all this. So these are basically the represents the bandwidth or the capabilities of the card. So when I say X5E, X6S and all that, there is nothing to confuse, nothing to get confused about it. We will, we are there. If you have an opportunity, we will design the solution by using the correct line cards. And also in these modular switches, when we are using a wireless scenario, we can have the WLAN licenses built into the switch itself. We don't need a separate controller for this. So this comes basically each line card can support up to 1,000 licenses, access licenses. So if you see here now in the 7703, if you are using 3 line cards, we can go up to 3,000 access licenses. So per line card, we can go up to 1,000 licenses with a maximum of 4,000 licenses per chassis. So here, if you see here, it manages 4,000 APs and 10,000 users. So each line card can support up to 1,000 APs, and we can go up to a maximum of 4,000 AP supports. And the PoEs, if you are taking the PoE line cards, we can support even 60 watts of PoE plus, which is a universal, which is a UPoE standard as per the Cisco. Cisco has given it a name UPoE. But yeah, so we can adhere to a end device which requires a 60 watt PoE also. Like in the case of you can say, what do you say, a PTZ camera, a high-end PTZ camera which is 20 Mbps of bandwidth and 4K, which operates on a 4K resolution. So those kind of cameras, they do require a 60 watt power input. So we can support that. Now these are the fixed. Now this ends our modular series of switches. So there are two there are two models in the modular, the 12700E and the 7700. Each of these models, each of these series have three different varieties in each of them. Basically, depends on the number of slot. That's all. So we have 7703, we have 7706, 7712. 03 is 3 line cards, 06 is 6 line cards, 7712 is 12 line cards. Same way, we have 12700 E-4, -8 and -12. So now these are the fixed series switches, core switches. So starting with 6730 is the high end switch on a fixed series. So we have two varieties in this. One is the 48 port and one is the 24 port, and it supports 10G downlink cards, 10G downlinks on optical. And also we have 6 fixed ports of 40/100 gig. This is also built on the Huawei based Solar S5 chipset, and we have dedicated SSG card slot in this. We have a USB slot in this. They have redundant power supplies, sorry, fan modules, 4 fan modules and redundant power supply modules, one on a 1+1. Yeah, and all the H series switches comes with a can support WLAN access points. So we can go up to, on a fixed series switches, we can go up to 1,000 licenses for the access points, supporting up to 10,000 users. And this supports the newer series, the 6720 and the 6730. If you ask me the difference here is the 6730 supports the VXLAN and telemetry. We will discuss about, I mean, since we don't have the time is a concern, so we will skip this VXLAN and telemetry. But if you have questions, you can come back to me. I will be glad to assist you on VXLAN and telemetry. What is telemetry and VXLAN? Or we can have one more session, in which we can deep dive into the each of the nomenclatures. So this is the key difference between the 6730 S series and the H series. Now both are available, currently available, no problem. We can share. It is currently available and it is ready to ship also. So the 6730 H and S series, if you see the difference, if it supports, H series supports MPLS, whereas S series does not support MPLS. Both supports IPv6. EEE 1588, the H series supports, whereas the S series does not support. VXLAN is supported by both the H series and the S series. Integrated WLAN is only supported by the H series and not the S series. Free mobility, it's again a WLAN term, which we will discuss later on. Netstream, stacking, MACsec, multi-gig, all, I mean, MACsec currently is not supported on the H series nor the S series, but Huawei is coming up with the support for the MACsec and the multi-gig also. Multi-gig is there, but not yet announced, but it is under the testing phase. I think by mid-May or June, it should be publicly available. The switch which supports both multi-gig and the MACsec. So the other difference is, if you see the forwarding performance of the H series, it is 480 million packets per second. S series also 480 million packets per second. Switching capacity, depending on whether it is a 24 port or 48 port, it can be 1.6, 2.16. For the S series, it is 960 and 2.4. Number of managed APs, H series supports 1000, S series does not support any WLAN. VXLAN BDUs, H series can support 16,000, whereas S series can support only 2,000. And FIB, forward information, the H series can support up to 256K, S series is only 64K. Rest all, if you see, are mostly the same. The ARP, yeah, the number of ARP requests, it can go up to, H series can go up to 140K, S series can go only up to 64K. So depending on the scenario, we can choose whether we want to go with S series or an H series, for which we will be able to help you out with the correct product. Then comes the 5732 H series. So in the H series, we have two two ranges. One is the 6730 and the 5732. So the basic difference between the 6730 and the 5732 is 6730 was supporting 10G on the downlink, whereas 5732 supports 1G on the downlink. And it does not support 100 gig. It only supports 40 gig uplinks. Whereas the 6730 was supporting 6 ports of 40/100 gig. 5732 only supports 6 into 40 gig. But it has 4 into 10G SFP plus slots also for the uplink. So you can either use 10G or 40 gig. This is also based on the Huawei developed Solar S5 chipset. Rest all, if you see if you see the chassis, more or less, you will not find any difference in the chassis. So here is the 6730 chassis, and here is the 5732 chassis. Look wise, appearance wise, both look same, with 4 fan modules, 2 power supplies, SSD slot, console slot. So that is so the in the H series we have two, as I said. One is the 6730 and the 5732. 6730 supports 10 gig on the downlink. 5732 supports 1 gig on the downlink. Then we have 5731 H series. So here the only difference is we have a blank card slot here. So on top of 24 or a 48 port, so here the difference, if you see, the downlink ports are all copper, 1G copper. So the downlink is not a fiber port. The downlink is all 1G copper port. And we have 4 fixed 10G slots. And we have one blank card slot which can support 2 into 40 gig or 8 into 10G cards, fiber or copper. And it has only 2 fan modules and 2 power module slots. So in core switches, we have 3 core switches basically. One is the 6730, which is the high end, supporting 10G on the downlink and 40/100 on the uplink. Then we have 5732, which is 1 gig fiber on the downlink and 10 gig and 40 gig on the uplink. Then we have 5731, which is 1 gig copper on the downlink and 10 gig fiber on the uplink. But also it has a support for a slot, which can be either a 2 into 40 gig slot or 8 into 10 gig slot. So these are some of the cards that are supported by the 5731. The first one is a 2-port 40 gigs card. The second one is a 8 into 10 gig electrical slot, and same thing, we have a 8 into 10 gig optical card also in this. So these are the scenarios where you can use a 5732 and 5731. Which I mean, if any inquiry comes, please let us know. We will be able to help you with the correct product for the scenarios that you are having. Now, if comes the we are in the access layer. So in the access layer, we have 5735 series, both in S and as well as L. So S series, as I told you in the beginning, the difference between the S series and the L series is S series supports 2 power modules, whereas the L series supports only 1 power module. Rest all remains the same. It both supports 24 port, 48 port, copper, PoE, non-PoE, and both of them. The S series has 10 gig on the uplinks. The L series comes in 10 gig as well as 1 gig uplinks. So this is another difference between the L series and the S series. So all the remaining protocols and all those things are same, that is supported by the L series is also supported by the S series. So now this is the L series, which is 5735 L series. This has three variants. One is a 12 port, one is a 24 port, and the other one is a 48 port. PoE, non-PoE also. And we have 4 into 1 gig uplinks and 4 into 10 gig uplinks based on the model we choose. So either we can have 4 1 gig uplink slot, or we can have 4 into 10 gig uplink slot. And this supports a 1000-watt PoE AC module. Here if you see the 48 port, which supports 1000-watt AC module by default. You in the other vendors, if you see, they have two varieties in the Access series switches, which is supporting one is having a 500 watt, the other one is a 1000 watt. So people get confused that we can, if we want to use all the 48 port should be, if we want to use all PoE ports, 48 port PoE, then in the competition there are different models. So we have to choose the correct model if we want to go with all PoE, 48 port all PoE. But with Huawei, the 48 port PoE comes built in with a 1000-watt PoE power supply, which can give uh, PoE to all the 48 ports. So if you see the PoE plus, if you see the rating of the PoE plus, it is somewhere around 15 watts, 15.6 watts to be more precise. So if you multiply 15 watts into 48, it comes to around 740, 750 watts. So the 1000-watt PoE power supply is enough to give a PoE plus to all the 48 ports in the Huawei L series switches. And it has only one power supply module. The S series has two power supply modules for a 1+1 active standby configuration. So yeah, so this is the comparison between the S series and the L series. The S series we don't have a 12 port model, whereas in L series we have a 12 port model, 12, 24, 48, and we have a fiber switch also in the L series, which is a 24 GE basically used as a, you can say it is used as a distribution switch, or fiber aggregation switch. That will be the more appropriate term to use. Fiber aggregation switch on a gig, on 1 gig, not on 10 gig. So we have a 24 port SFP switch for the fiber aggregation in the 5735 L series. Rest, if you see the FIB forward information V4 on is on S series we have 8000, on the L series we have 4000. On the V6 S series supports 3000, and on the L series it supports 1000. Power redundancy, S series has dual power module, L series has single power module. The rest all is the same. MPL is not supported, Agile features not supported. And the routing protocols, if you see RIP, OSPF version 3 and version 1, VRRP, IGMP is all supported in both the models, S series and the L series. Now, this is the basic comparison if we want to do with the Cisco campus switches and the Huawei campus based switches. Starting from this is the new one, but here if you see the 1720s, now we have a 1730. So this TBD is gone now. It is replaced with the 1730 series. In 1730 we have H series also in that SOHO segment, SMB segment. We have in 1730 we have an H series switch also, which supports native WLAN features and other high-end routing protocols, layer 3 routing protocols basically. Yeah, so these are the basic difference on the between the Cisco campus switches and the Huawei campus switches. Starting from the access, we have compact. In Cisco, we have 2960 series, which can now be compared to a 1730 series. Low end 2960 can be compared with a 5735, also with a 5731. So like this, we can get a comparison. Like if we have a Cisco BOQ and we are confused that which model to quote against Huawei. So this table gives you a fair idea of which series of Cisco is comparable to which series of the Huawei. So if you have any questions, just write it in the chat box. So once this thing is over, we will go one by one to all the concerns raised by you guys. Now, this is a industrial grade switch of Huawei, which comes with a cabinet. It has 8 PoE ports and 2 uplink ports of 10G fiber. And if you see this, it comes all in a box. I will show you what is all inside the box in the next 2-3 slides. We will see how it goes. So if you want to have a scenario wherein you want to mount a 8-port PoE switch on a pole for some CCTV application or even Wi-Fi application, outdoor Wi-Fi application, if you want to have. So what we basically do, we buy a weatherproof box, we put an 8-port switch, we put a surge protector, we put a power adapter, we have this, what do you call, the switches, power module switches, the MCBs. So we all install one by one and it becomes very clumsy and crampy, and there are high chances of accidental in the first module. But whereas if you see the Huawei, we have the industrial switches. Now everything is built into this and it is very clean. We have a fiber splicing bracket also. We have the power modules which is at the back, and on the front side which is the switching. So let me show you. So this is the actual look of the industrial switch, where we have the circuit breaker, the MCBs. We have the 8-port switch ports on the top, 8-port PoE plus capable. Then we have 2 into 10G optical ports for the uplink. Then we have the slot for the 24-volt input. Then we have a slot for the 12-volt DC output also. Then it also has a door status sensor. Like if an unauthorized person tries to open the door, we will get an alarm on your NMS, which is the E side. You can get an alarm that somebody is unauthorized person is trying to open the door. Then we have a fiber splicing tray, all built into one box. Just take this box and then tighten it on the pole or wall, wherever you want, in an industrial scenario. So this is the some of the features. IP66 rated, assembled chassis and the all-in-one switch. So IP66 rated, operating temperature from -40 to +55, heat dissipation without the fans. So in an assembled chassis, some will support PoE, some may not support PoE, some will support PoE plus. You will not get PoE on all the ports, but here we have PoE plus plus on all the 8 ports. PoE plus plus means 60 watts. So as I said, in an outdoor scenario where you have a high rated PTZ camera which is operating on a 4K and which consumes 20 Mbps of bandwidth, which requires a 60 watt of power. So this industrial switch can support those kind of applications as well. So, and the other O&M features, network diagnosis, power failure alarm, mechanical lock, unauthorized opening, all are supported in the Huawei industrial switches. So this is how live this is some photograph from the live scenario, how it is mounted on a pole. So that ends my session of the switching portfolio. Although we can go much deeper, but due to time restrictions, we could not dig deep. Maybe we can dig deeper in the future sessions we have. We will go into the detailed features and the other like features like VXLAN, telemetry, and all those things. We can take it in a separate session. So thank you all guys. Now my colleague Mr. Hassan will take over from here for the Wi-Fi 6 part. Thank you, Hassan.
Thank you, Subbu. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you all for attending this session. Let me share my screen.
Yes, Hassan, you are audible. Go ahead.
Okay. So today we will talk about the Wi-Fi 6, what Wi-Fi 6 can bring, and how it is different from Wi-Fi 4 and the old technologies. So why do we need Wi-Fi 6? See, digital transformation will impact all the organization, including the higher education, wireless offices, mobile offices, airport, retail stores, government organizations, finance offices, retail stores. They all need Wi-Fi services. So Wi-Fi should be considered as a fundamental technology, and Wi-Fi 6 is the first standard which developed for the world where everything is connected all time, such as cloud computing, virtual realities, data hungry applications like augmented reality, 4K video, 8K video, IoTs and mobile devices, etc. So what Wi-Fi 6 can bring? In era of Wi-Fi 5, the requirement for the capacity and the connection and delay are not very much required, and the continuous roaming was not there anytime anywhere. But as the new application, as I said, like the 4K video, augmented reality, virtual reality, these type of application emerge, the Wi-Fi networks are gradually increased, and the delay and the better bandwidth is a challenge. So with Wi-Fi 6 we can cope up with all these type of the challenges. How it can cope up with these challenges? Number one, it offers the better bandwidth, so we can introduce more data, more speed in different environment. We can see different things like the reality, augmented reality, which can consume the large volume of data, which was not possible actually with the previous Wi-Fi technology, but with Wi-Fi 6 it is now possible. On the other side, we have a challenge in a dense environment where there are massive number of users and IoT devices are connected, which is very difficult to manage. But Wi-Fi 6 is there, so there is no challenge. We can cope up with this type of scenarios. Let me brief between the difference of Wi-Fi 4 and Wi-Fi 5. So the old technology was focused basically on the single user operation. It means that at any point of time, one user can transmit and receive the data, and the transmission process is basically random. It's not a scheduled process. So at anybody can transmit at the same time. In Wi-Fi 6, it is multi-user transmission, which use the OFDMA technology, which is orthogonal frequency division multiple access, which allows multiplexing of many users on the same channel. So it also added the uplink MoMIMO technology and downlink MoMIMO technology. Whereas in Wi-Fi 5, we can keep up with 4 user MoMIMO. Here in Wi-Fi 6, you can 8 MoMIMO sections. So Wi-Fi 6 is using basically these 3 technologies, which is smart antenna, dynamic turbo, and lossless roaming. So let's talk about the smart antenna. Smart antenna allows actually 100% coverage with zero blind spot, which improves the delay, reliability. Since the quality of the transmission is always being monitored, you can see in this small video the beam forming by the Wi-Fi 6 access point. So basically it offers 20% wider coverage, and with Wi-Fi 6 we have 16 built-in smart antenna, which is the maximum in the market. Actually it is not only 20% wider coverage, but it delivers the stronger and wider signal, which is more focused than the traditional coverage. In the second, you can see the dynamic turbo. So you all know that mechanism of Wi-Fi is actually based on the random competition. In this is basically a frame where the different types of data is going, and the transmission between the station and the access point is not scheduled process. In case of the Wi-Fi 6, it can prioritize your VIP and ordinary users. It can make a different chunks, and the problem of the latency where is not, and the problem of the latency is there is a solution for the latency. Now the third one is the lossless roaming. So basically Huawei implements make before break technology. It means if a client is working between two access point, before they associate with the current access point, it actually establish a connection with the next access point, so it does not suffer any drop in the performance. So these are the three key technologies, which is smart antenna, dynamic turbo, and lossless roaming. These smart antenna is coming by default in every access point of Wi-Fi 6 portfolio. Now here you can see the difference between the Wi-Fi 5 and Wi-Fi 6 AP. So on the right side, left hand side, you have Wi-Fi 5 and Wi-Fi 6 AP. You can see the downlink supported by the Wi-Fi 5 AP. It is 4x4 MIMO. And the downlink supported by the Wi-Fi 6 is 8x8 MIMO. So this is the more special stream technology. In Wi-Fi 6, we have 16 special streams maximum. Also, it used the orthogonal frequency division multiplex access technology, so which allow the multiple user to share the channel resource and increase the network capability several times. So it uses the same channel. Now, what is the Huawei contribution in Wi-Fi 6? So starting in 2014, Mr. Osama he's an Huawei expert. He was elected as a chairman of IEEE 802.11ax working group. And Huawei was the one of the leader in defining the project scope Wi-Fi 6 by participating continuously developing the Wi-Fi 6 standards. Almost 310 plus proposals they have submitted, which cover the aspect of standards like OFDME, extended range, etc. Later in 2014, they come up with the 10G Wi-Fi prototype. Like in 2014, Huawei developed an access point which can support 10G ports. In 2017, Huawei was the first in the industry who has come up with the Wi-Fi 6 access point beta version, which is AP7060DN. And later in 2018, they have commercial use 7060DN, and 2019, as per the Tolly report, Wi-Fi 6 Huawei AP is considered the fastest AP as per the third-party report in 2019. So Wi-Fi 6 technology at one glance, it delivers the highest performance. It means it can support 16x16 MIMO dynamic turbo, like 8 trans 8 receive. So 16 transmissions, 16 receive. The maximum throughput is 10.7 Gbps interface. It supports the smart antenna. Every access point comes with the built-in IoT module and the independent radios for the scanning. Now this is the complete portfolio of the Huawei Wi-Fi 6 family, including indoor and outdoor. So you can see the all APs, all of these are coming with the built-in smart antenna technology. And we have the access controller AC6508, for the small scenarios where you can cop up with 256 access points. In large scenario, we have another access point which is AC6805, which can cop up with 1000 access point, and then we have 9600, which can come up with the 2000 access point. And also, as Mr. Subbu has discussed, in chassis switches, we have the cards which can support the wireless controller feature. So how you will use these access point in your daily day-to-day environment scenarios? So we have Air Engine 5760 family, which is basically 6x6 MoMA. You can use it in the retail and supermarkets, which is basically designed for this type of scenarios. We have a in-house solution like in hospitality, in-room AP, which is Air Engine 5760-22W, which is 6x6. We have Air Engine 6700 family for the dense environment like hall, waiting room, entrance. We have an outdoor AP Wi-Fi 6, which is 16x16 and 8x8. It comes with the external antenna and within built-in antenna as well. You can use for the outdoor purpose, stadiums, swimming pools, in the hospitality sectors, and any outdoor restaurant, etc. And there is a flagship product which is 8760X1-Pro. This is basically this access point is used for the high, where there is high bandwidth and no latency compromises there. So meeting rooms, and where you can use the 4K, 8K video IoT purpose, and also you can use it for the smart warehouses, etc. Now how the access point looks, you can see this is the flagship product which can support up to 16 special streams, and the maximum throughput is 10.75 Gbps. This is the smart antenna plus smart radio built-in feature. High performance, it can support it. It comes with built-in 10G SFP plus port and copper port as well, and independent radio for scanning purpose, Bluetooth, RFID, etc. This is another model which is 12 special stream. The previous model was 16 special stream from the same family. So based on your requirement, you can basically use this type of access point in your scenarios. That is also coming with the smart antenna technology, smart radio. It comes with the triple radio, which is 2.5 dual gig, one 2.5 gigahertz, one 5 gigahertz, and one different band for 2.5 and 2.4 gigahertz. It comes with the 10G copper and SFP plus ports, and obviously IoT capabilities as well. This is the access point where you can use it for the retails and supermarkets, etc. Also, it's a 6x6. The maximum throughput is 5.95 Gbps. It comes with the smart antenna and the smart radio technology. As I told you that all of the access point comes with the smart antenna technology. Now this is another access point which comes with the external antenna. the maximum throughput is 8.35 Gbps. Smart antenna, of course, and IoT, 10G copper and 10G SFP modules. This is the outdoor access point with external antenna. So you can select the antenna based on your requirement. Either you are looking for a omnidirectional antenna, directional antenna. We have different flavors of antenna. You can select based on your requirement. We can use it for the point to point, point to multi-point, this type of scenarios. And this is also an outdoor access point, which is like 16 cross 16 with internal antennas. And this also comes with IP68. So it comes with the, it can operate in the temperature of -42 plus 65. Many of you guys are doing the Wi-Fi service, actually, Wi-Fi survey. So Huawei has their own tool, online tool, where you can use your credential, Huawei credential, and you can make your own heat maps by adding your floor maps into the tool. So you can define the structure of the walls, concrete walls, brick walls, wooden door, etc. And then you can add the access point and you can check the coverage of the specific areas accordingly. And you can generate the report as well in the same by using the same tool. So by end of this session, if you don't have any Huawei account, so let us know so that we can apply for your Huawei account as well. So I will suggest and recommend you guys to do this, to use this tool for your Wi-Fi services. Where Wi-Fi 6 has implemented, this is the DIFC in Dubai. This is completely running by Wi-Fi 6 solution, where Huawei has proposed their Wi-Fi 6 solution to cope up with 20,000 employees and more than 20,000 of the financial companies. The second reference case we have, this is basically global reference cases. In STC is another reference case of Wi-Fi 6. Then we have the Hong Kong airport, which is also running by the Wi-Fi 6 technology, and the Wi-Fi 6 technology plus the switching, Huawei switching, and the eSite, which is the NMS. Shenzhen Metro, this is another reference case of Wi-Fi 6, where they have used the 7060 Wi-Fi 6 access point. We have the university from Spain, where they have implemented again the different variety of access point and access controller. Wi-Fi 6 access point is 7060. And last we have the outdoor scenario from Spain. It's a football stadium where there are different Wi-Fi 6 access points are used for the delivering the Wi-Fi 6 services. That's all from my side. If you have any question, you can raise in the comment section. We will try to respond in the same session, or we can respond via email as well. Thank you from my side. There is a quiz actually. Subi.
Hello. Yeah.
Hi. Yeah.
Ramu, are you here? I think Ramu wanted to add something on the certifications for Huawei.
Okay.
So, and before Ramu can start, if you guys have any questions, these guys can answer your questions right here. I think we have some questions here. We have questions like, what is the power input requirements for the industrial switch?
Yeah, the power input requirement is a basic AC requirement, normal 220 volt AC.
Yeah, it comes with basically two power supply. One is 60 watt power supply and 240 watt power supply as well. So you can add and mix based on your requirement.
Okay. And Munib is asking input power requirements for industrial switch. I think it's the same question, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. And another question, all 8 ports are 10G.
8 ports in what? In industrial switch?
I think so, because this was asked around your session.
No, that is only the industrial switch is only 1G. 1G on the downlink and 10G on the uplink.
Okay.
So 2 G ports and 8 1G ports.
All right. And there's one question that just came in from Mohammed Ibrahim to compare between Wi-Fi 6 and others.
So
for data rate.
That we will share through email actually, a detailed comparison.
Okay.
You can just note down this query and we will respond via email by the sharing some chart, and that will show the difference between the Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 5 technology.
Okay. Yeah, that's. I think those are all the questions we have received. I think Ramu can. He just wants to make an announcement right now, so I'll just ask Ramu to speak now.
Thank you, Subhi. Thank you, Hassan, and thank you, Subbu, for your session. And I hope all the guys stay safe. Okay, take care of your things. Guys, the thing is, right now, what is the session was given by Subbu and Hassan about the pre-sales part. For this, there is a certification also is there, the program. So probably later, Subbu and Hassan will share the complete the material and the study material about the pre-sales certification. And after that, the partners has to clear the certification before end of the June, because there is an incentive for the partners who can clear the certifications, and their partnership level also will increase. That will share the complete information. And apart from that, there is a Wi-Fi 6 promo program was launched by Huawei. That information also we'll share by email, what is the bundle package and everything for that means your requirements and everything. So based upon that, it will help you for the requirements. That probably by today or maybe by tomorrow, we'll share the complete details and everything. Regarding the certifications, once again, I'm telling you, please take it as a very serious about this certifications program, the pre-sale certifications. This is mandatory for from the Huawei side, and because this increase your partnership levels and especially for the rebates and incentives purpose. Okay. Thank you, Subhi.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramu. I just wanted to check with everybody that if there are any other questions. I think we got some questions. Please share. The presentation will be shared with everybody post the event. I think we have another question from Ayaz Sheikh. Battle card AV for competitor. Anything for that? Battle card AV for competitor.
I will suggest if he can send this via email. So.
Sure. So okay.
So
sure.
You can provide our email addresses and then.
Yeah, and I would just like everybody now to go on. I'm just going to post a link here. Everybody can go to that link for a small quiz. We have the winner here, guest 036. I think that was the quiz. Thank you everybody for joining us for the session. We will be sharing the webinar details with the presentation and the email IDs of the presenters as well. So if you guys have any questions, you can always write back and we'll be happy to answer all your queries.